Would you give him the benefit of the doubt on this? Perhaps he did decide that this was the thing to do, that if he went in quickly with a lot of force, might bring it to an early end. Is it conceivable to you that Obama could have said, he did not campaign on getting out of Afghanistan. He campaigned on taking it seriously.
Correct.
So maybe he said this is the best way to bring it to a quick end. A war I didn't start.
He may very well believe that, but I like Obama, but I think this is the tragic mistake. This is in a deeper way than just 30,000 men, because it's not going to be 30,000 men. It's a shadow army. We're talking contractors alone. In Vietnam, it was 6 soldiers to every contractor. So contractors get a free ride here. They're war profiteers. So if we're going to go up to 100,000 troops, we know that there's probably going to be another 30,000 contractors going in, maybe more. I don't know how we can afford all this. It's going to be it's a $50 billion a year now, but it's going to go up to $100 billion a year now. This war in Afghanistan, how is he going to pay for it?
$1 million a soldier, according to the military.
$100 billion a year.
$100 billion a year. Yes.
What about contractors and what we pay them, and what are we paying the Taliban, and all the secret? And what about the CIA funds and the Predator missiles that cost so much money, and all this?
Well, how do you? I know a lot of people this week truly wrestling with this, asking the very question you're asking.
Where's the money going to come from? How is our so-called empire going to? It is an empire. How is our empire going to continue?
What do you mean empire?
We have an empire. We have soldiers in 120 nations all around the world. We have bases north of Afghanistan, as you know, and it changes monthly, but Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, all these names. We have rings around Soviet Russia practically. We've built in Latvia. We put NATO back in. America has grown huge since especially since the end of the Cold War. We expanded into the east. Yeah. NATO was never supposed to go east. Do you remember that? NATO
exactly.
was for Western Europe. It was never supposed to go east. Clinton took it to Poland, to Czechoslovakia, Hungary. Bush expanded it. The Russians have a beef with us, and rightly so. We became very big after 1989, bigger than we ever were, and now we're going to pay the price. This decision by Obama, although it seems minor, 30,000 men, I think it's major. I think this is very ominous, and I don't know that this time, because coming off the recession of where we are now, it doesn't make sense. It's like piling bricks on a donkey. You pile them so high, the donkey is going to collapse.
What would you have said to the president before he made his decision if you could have talked to him?
Don't sell out, man. The generals got you. You get into the presidency, and I think it's a trap. I would imagine you would know from Lyndon Johnson's experience, and he himself in his tapes was talking about the need to win in Vietnam. Although in his bones, I think that Lyndon Johnson knew he could not win there. Billions of dollars were spent in Vietnam. Huge waste of money. And people got rich off the war. They always do. When I think of war, I think of money and patriotism. And Obama went out of his way to say that to read Vietnam into this was false history. I disagree completely. We always heard the story that the Vietnamese, if we didn't stop them in Vietnam, the dominoes would fall, Thailand would be next, Malaysia and so forth, and communism would come to the shores of California. And we hear it again and again.
But it is also a fact that Afghanistan is where much of the attack was planned on 9/11. That did change the reality, don't you think?
No, Afghanistan is like Texas. It's just endless scrub. I don't think it means much. I think Pakistan is where the ball game is. Afghanistan is ridiculous to go to war there. It's like a wasteland. The people there are fighters. These people they resisted the British, the Russians. I often felt that we are paralleling the Soviet Union. We fought the Soviet Union so hard from 1945 on. When they finally crumbled in 1991, it seems that our fate will follow the same course. I don't know why. I felt like we're locked. If your enemy dies, you may go on for a few years, but somehow we have the same sickness. There's no way people from the mainland of America can go over there and not intrude on these people. Just the fact that you can walk into a village with our uniforms and our guns is an intrusion on their way of life, and it's an offense. The way if a soldier looks at a woman in a certain way, they take offense. The mentality is quite different than ours. It's another culture completely, and I don't understand why Obama, who knows about culture, and he has an Indonesian background too. I'm shocked that he could look to force. No good will come of using force in a foreign land.
You make me think of that opening scene in Platoon, one of the most memorable moments in American movie making in my book, when the fresh Americans like yourself arrive in Vietnam, and for the first time on that tarmac they see those body bags.
Innocents abroad, you would say? Yes.
Oh, man. Is that what I think it is?
All right, Crew Chief. Welcome to the knob. Follow me.
I know it's been a long time, but what would you say to those new troops going to Afghanistan about combat based on your experience?
I don't think it's going to be a happy experience for them. These are young men who are going to age fast. They're going to find themselves unwanted, unliked. People who smile at you, you're never going to believe that they really like you. You don't know if they're going to stab you in the back or put a roadside bomb in on the road when you go out. Information, as you remember, the Vietnamese people were friendly but dangerous. We didn't know who was who. They would come and work for us in the base camps that we built, these huge Las Vegases, where we had PXs, we were selling in cars and TVs. Often illegally, they would make these products would make their way into the hands of the Viet Cong and the NVA. A lot of our stuff ended up on the wrong side of the fence. Same thing is true here.
What can you say about the chaos of war? How does it manifest itself? How does the brain adjust to that chaos, or can it adjust to it?
It multiplies. Violence begets violence. It just gets worse. The bombs go off. Innocent people get killed by accident. Mistakes happen. Take friendly fire. You remember friendly fire in Vietnam? I think 20% of our casualties were killed by ourselves because mistakes happen.
There's a scene from Born on the 4th of July that's hard to take and impossible to forget. It's about friendly fire, the unintentional killing of your own comrades.
What happened?
Were you ever involved in that? Did you ever?
Oh, sure. It happened all the time. It was very dangerous in combat because you don't know where it's coming from. Sometimes it'd be the guy behind you would lose it and fire off. And the guy who was killed in Afghanistan, Pat Tillman, great guy apparently, but he was killed by accident by his own troops. You know, that happens a lot in war, but the damage is collateral. It goes back not only into the dead who come back, it goes through it goes through that generation, all families. They come back to the States, the kids are affected, the wife, the parents. Then you have the people who come back with the wounds, which are even worse in some cases. The concussions from Iraq, the brain damage, far worse. They're saving more people on the battlefield now than they did in Vietnam. And as a result, you have more damaged people.